Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Eric with SweetSpotDFS, and welcome to my DFS strategy video for the 2022 WGC match play. Hopefully you had a chance to watch the preview video I put out yesterday, as I went over a lot of information regarding this match play format. If you haven't seen that video, I'll provide a link top right hand corner. Go drill down on that, watch the video, come back here. You have a better understanding and a better grasp of what I'll be covering in this video. Of course, we covered all the pieces required to find the optimal lineup in that preview video, whereas in the strategy video, it's all about finding the 6 golfers that are going to help us hit the optimal lineup. And that means we're going to be looking at the sweet spot ranks as well as the anchor buckets. Unfortunately, we can't look at marquee tee times like we typically do, but that's okay. This is match play, so there's more theory crafting, basically. It's all about a strategy, and we covered that in the preview. There is one way to build lineups this week in order to hit the optimal lineup. Well, there's multiple ways, but really one underlying way to do it. So we'll go over all of that and try to find kind of our best plays. And then we'll let the optimizer do its work. Which reminds me, there are giveaways happening this week. I have 4 of them in total. One of them is a cheat sheet that all of you guys are available to have. There's a link in the description that'll get you to the spreadsheet you see on the screen. Right away, first thing I want you guys to do, go to the file menu, go down to make a copy for yourself. That way you can modify the sheet however you want. Otherwise, all you have access to do is just view it. And there are some interactive things you can do on here. So if you're just viewing it, I don't think you have access to pull in the drop-down menus. But if you do make a copy, you will. And it's really easy because then you get to choose your players, and it keeps track of it really easy. So you can see Cam Young, Harold Varner show up right there. If I go in here and I hit the delete button, you're only going to see Cameron Young. So you're going to have to figure out, you'll just have to backtrack and go through this. But anyways, this is available for you guys. If you want to remove a player, just hit delete. And then I also have the bucket system, so you can see the raw numbers yourself. You can put a filter on this. I already have a filter created called the bucket system. And then you can go by your buckets. If you want to see, a more defining or just a clear picture of say, the last year buckets, this is what you can do. I can zoom in for you. Because if you have everything, it might get a little convoluted, a little messy. It's hard to see. So you can just drill down and just look at each bucket by themselves. You can also put conditions on here, however you would like, greater than or equal to, let's just say 1. This is usually how we find our anchor buckets. So this is all at your disposal. Again, there's a link in the description below. It's available to everybody. As long as you have a Google account, you can access this, no problem. The other thing that I am also giving away is the optimizer. So we'll be using this throughout the video. So if you kind of want to have a better understanding how to use it, just obviously stay till the end of the video and watch me build lineups with it. But basically what it does, I have this whole conditions box right here that is utilizing all of the buckets that I have. You can put whatever numbers you want in here, at least as long as it's up to 6. And one box is your minimum box, one box is your maximum box. This is telling the optimizer how many should it select, like at least how many should it select from. So if I put 3 here, it's going to select at least 3. And of course, if you put a max, it's never going to go over that max. So this is all very nice when building your lineups, but the main piece of it has everything to do with what I was kind of talking about with the strategy in building lineups, your groups and your quadrants. So if I go to the bracket, which is also included on this optimizer, if you weren't, again, I suggest you go watch the preview video to understand this a little bit better, but you would want to select one golfer out of this group at most, and then one golfer out of this group at most. But you basically want to select one golfer out of each quadrant to make it all the way to the final 4. These 2 spots right here. Because you want at least 4 of your golfers, at least an opportunity, I should say, to get to the championship match as well as the 3rd place match. It just means there's more golf holes that those golfers will be playing, more points that they'll be scoring, giving you a better chance to take down a GPP. And that's all built into the optimizer. So you can see I'm having no more than 2 golfers from each quadrant, and then no more than 1 golfer from each group. And that's all baked in to these columns here. So the optimizer utilizes this to perfection. You're never going to build a lineup that does not build the way we want you to build. You can come in here and change all these numbers however you want. So it's not just stuck to this. I do have a video on how to use the optimizer, which I'll send with you if you want this optimizer. And if you do, what you got to do. I had a couple people in the preview video, or at least from the preview video, not do this already. You got to comment down in the video description or in the video comment section. It just helps YouTube's algorithm to promote this to other people. And it's my way to also reward you guys for doing it, because it helps my channel out. So you got to be subscribed to the channel, comment down below, and then reach out to me on email at sweetspotdfs@gmail.com. Say you would like to use the optimizer, and I will send it your way. But you got to be subscribed, and you have to comment down below. Those are the prerequisites in order to do it. And then of course you're gonna have to reach out to me at the email address I provided, and you'll see like zooming across here. But yeah, optimizer is there for you guys. It makes building really easy. You can change all of these numbers to whatever you would like. It just makes things easy. Outside of that, we also have a subscriber giveaway. So again, another way for me to reward you guys. It's worth $30 this week. If we can get 30 new subscribers, which I think might be a little difficult, but if you can help me out, get your friends, your family members to subscribe to this channel, you can have a chance to win $30 at the end of this week. As long as we get 30 subscribers, I'm going to give away $30 at the end of the week. And if we don't, then I'm going to push it to next week, but we're going to take $5 away from the pool. So it's just a way to see if we can get as many of you guys to subscribe to the channel as possible. I'll reward you guys. Be subscribed to the channel, and if you want an entry into this giveaway, comment down below again. So a topic you can do, give me your favorite 10K golfer this week. I think we're going to need one. I think one is going to get all the way to the Final Four and maybe even win this tournament. So give me your favorite 10K golfer. Now I'll get you a free entry into this giveaway. And you can get up to 4 free entries a week. Comment on the preview video, comment on the strategy video, and comment on the prize picks video, which I'm going to be doing right after this video. You do that, you get 3 free entries. And if you want a 4th additional one, share whatever I post on Twitter for these videos. So whatever the preview video is, strategy, prize picks, just retweet that when I send it out, and you'll get a 4th additional entry. Easy as that. And of course, I do a prize picks giveaway. $20. I'm going to give $20 out to anybody who signs up on prize picks using the promo code SweetSpot and puts $20 in their account. So I'm basically letting you play for free. And whereas all the other content creators are giving you a deposit match up to $100, not only am I doing that, I'm giving you that deposit match as well, but I'm also giving you $20. So again, you're going to play for free, and you're going to have $40 to your account because you're going to put 20 in. Prize picks will match that, giving you an additional 20. So you have 40 now. And I'm going to give you your $20 back. So as easy as that. There's a link in the description that'll get you there as well, to that prize picks sign up page. Okay, I think we are done talking about giveaways. Let's go ahead. Let's talk about our strategies here. Let me go to a different page. I could use the cheat sheet to talk about this, but I might as well just use the page that I currently have. Guess if it downloads. Oh. All right, I guess we'll use this. I don't know why that's taking forever. I can use this just as easy. I think someone put a filter on it. Anyways, we'll talk about the SweetSpot ranks. Let me zoom in a little bit. Come back yet? Okay, there we go. We'll use this one. I'll leave this one alone for other people who are currently on it right now, to do with whatever they want with it. I'm all over the place. There we go. Let me go ahead and put a filter on this, and let's talk about the rankings that we have. My number one golfer this week is Justin Thomas. Now, I guess we should probably talk about how these numbers came about. I'm going to hide these columns. We don't need that. But basically what I use in my model this week is a combination of official world golf ranking to go with course history, bogey avoidance, birdie or better, recent form stats, DraftKings points, scoring averages, and then their recent form, their average finishing position. And then I did season-long stats with DraftKings points, their scoring average, rounds under 70%, cut made percentage, and DK top 10. Cut made percentage isn't that important, so I probably should have just removed that. And it's difficult, right? It's difficult to do any type of model this week. I wish I could have included, match play success somewhere in here. I typically would. If you guys have access to that, include that in your model as well. I'm kind of in a transitional period right now where I'm really trying to get this database up and running that I have. I have all of my tables created. I just had to clean up the data a little bit. So I'm not really like looking to add additional information to my spreadsheets. So trying to pull, match play wins, match play losses, stuff like that is too time consuming right now. But if you have the opportunity to do that, I would highly recommend it, because I do think you're going to get a little bit, at least just add some value to some of these players who are good at match play. You don't have to have it tip the scales a ton to those golfers, but give them a little bit of a boost with that information. But I figured we can use a lot of this information kind of to our kind of to help us. And like course history it's all match play here at this tournament. So really this should say tournament history, not so much course history, because we haven't been playing at the Austin Country Club the entire time I have for my data. But I still think it's still going to help. So it just gives us a good proxy, I guess, to how good these golfers are in the field. And that's how my rankings go. Now, typically what I would tell you is I want to find 4 golfers in the optimal lineup somewhere in my top 20. I don't know if that's possible this week because I don't know how to build line. Like, I don't know if this is going to follow, the bracket build that you want to do. And again, talking about the quadrants and stuff like that, where you want to select players, difficult to determine this. But for you guys that are asking for the optimizer, that is what drives the metric here. So if you don't agree with my my rankings, you can go in here and alter these rankings manually. So like Colin Morikawa, if you think he should be rated up higher, go ahead and just manually enter that. So I put 930 points there. Just go ahead and do that. And then the optimizer is going to recognize that player as a better value than what I have. But that's all entirely up to you guys. When it comes to my rankings, I don't really want to talk about any of these golfers. Most of them should be up here. Some of them are kind of a surprise, like Dustin Johnson, my 20th ranked golfer. Colin Morikawa, my 10th ranked golfer. And you have Russell Henley up here at $7,900. Now, this is just kind of the skill and kind of the course fit for this tournament. But because it's match play, its rankings, I hate to say it, just might not matter. Yeah, Russell Henley looks like a really good value, but I don't know exactly how well he plays in match play. So take this with a grain of salt. We'll get into the match play stuff here pretty shortly. And we'll cover kind of my strategy with that. But here are your rankings. I just wanted to show you them because they're going to drive the optimizer when I start building lineups with it. But yeah, let's move on. And we're going to move on into the anchor buckets. Now, since the preview video, I have made some updates. I think some of the players were marked incorrectly on the DK sheet. So I updated it, which then changed the amount of golfers in those buckets this year, because this is how it validates it. Whatever I have in these buckets here, or the columns here, they dictate what this number is right here. So I made some updates and it changed it slightly. You can kind of see the minimum projections and the maximum projections. And that's why a lot of you guys got, those that reached out for the optimizer during the preview video. I sent you updated ones. This was the update. So if I'm looking for anchor buckets, what I want to do is I want this to be greater than 1. The minimum projection. I want to be greater than 1. And I could leave it here and we could go with anchor buckets from here. But then what I want to do is actually make this greater than 2. So I can select all and actually deselect the ones that are underneath that 2 number. Otherwise, I could put a conditional in here and just say less than or greater than or equal to 2. That would work as well. So here are my anchor buckets. Last year 4s, last year 5s, last week 6s. And we talked about this in the preview video, so go watch that if you want to know what these buckets are. Course history 4, course history 5, recent form 2, recent form 3, salaries, 10Ks and 7Ks, and then strokes gains, strokes gain 2, strokes gain 3. Again, we talked about this in the preview, so highly recommend you to go watch it there. Well, I mean, we can first look at, I should say this. The other thing I want to do is filter by the bucket totals. I should have done this before, so disregard what I just said. I want this number to be less than or equal to 25. And this will help us, really narrow down the pools of players we want to select from. And again, these are our anchor plays. These are our anchor buckets where we want to find our anchor plays. So we'll look at our last year 4s right away. We want somewhere between 2 to 4 of those golfers. So when we look at our last year 4s, here you go. Let's sort by salary. So we've got Patrick Cantlay, Dustin Johnson, Daniel Berger, Xander Schauffele, Paul Casey, Matthew Fitzpatrick. I mean, I'm not going to talk about all of them, but it's a pretty good list. And what a last year 4 is are golfers who finished somewhere between 17th and 32nd place last year. So kind of an eclectic group, but we want somewhere between 2 to 4 golfers from here. Now, the big thing is, can we put these guys in a lineup together? Because we have to consider what quadrant they are in as well as what group they're in. So if I went to the bracket and I try to find Patrick Cantlay, he's going to be down here. I don't want to select a Daniel Berger. Well, I shouldn't say that. We did talk about this in the preview video. You could have a golfer from here. Let's say we could have Daniel Berger from here and Patrick Cantlay from here, and then Patrick Cantlay move on to the next region. We can still win a GPP this way. We went over it again in the preview video, so we can do something like this. And Daniel Berger could be our second guy. But that wouldn't be the optimal way to build. Instead, you would want to pick a golfer from up here if you're picking another one within this quadrant. So it's really up to you how you feel about that. But again, that's why I can't just sit here and say, ooh, I want Patrick Cantlay as well as Daniel Berger. It can work. Don't get me wrong. It can work. But I don't know if I want that. So I'm going to let the optimizer choose. What I would do, and what you guys should do, is just pick one golfer from here and just have in the back, and I shouldn't even say have in the back of your head. We'll let the optimizer decide who the other guy is that we should select from here. But here's one of your buckets. We can go to our last year 5s, which is really just anyone who really didn't escape the pods last year. So last year 5s, Justin Thomas didn't escape the pods. Colin Morikawa, Victor Hovland, Bryson DeChambeau. These are all guys that did not escape. I actually really like these guys to do well this week, because I do feel like, and that's why I do last year buckets. That's why I do last week buckets. There's a motivational factor that comes with doing poorly or doing really well or not playing the week before, the year before. So the fact that Thomas, Morikawa, Hovland, and DeChambeau did not make it out of the pods kind of can give me a little bit of confidence to play them, because I think they're going to play a little harder, really just try to break through and forget what happened last year. So I kind of like call it a bounce back. I like a bounce back for a lot of these guys. And we're kind of looking at what, 1 to 3 golfers to choose from. So yeah, you can select your one guy to kind of anchor your lineups around. Personally, I don't think I want Morikawa. I don't want someone who can't putt. JT's also in that category of not being able to putt. So, you know, I kind of like Victor Hovland, although he has really bad chipping and anything around the green issues. Maybe it's a good time to get on some of these lower price guys. I really like Taylor Gooch this week, especially where he's located, because I think he has a hard draw and a lot of people will be off of Taylor Gooch because of that. Maybe they'll be on him because of his price tag. I'm not sure. But I'm really going to try to stay away from guys who can't putt well. I also don't really want to play like a Christian Bezuidenhout or Bezuidenhout. I just don't see enough like grit that comes with playing someone like him. I don't know. I kind of want somebody who, like, I would rather play Kevin Na than Christian Bezuidenhout. Same with Siwoo Kim. Like, I want someone who can just go out there and attack, as opposed to just grind it out and be too nice, really. But anyways, yeah, 1 to 3 guys from here. I think I'm just gonna say that with the next couple buckets because I just want to theory craft and build lineups. Course history 4s. That's that 15 to 20 range. That's their average finishing position at this tournament. This dates back to 2014 or 2015. So we have Cantlay in there once again. We have Louis. We already talked about him as well. I don't see really anybody else that we talked about, but what we talked last year, 5s and 4s. So we talked about Xander, or we went over Xander. Maybe I didn't talk about him. Paul Casey, Louis, Joaquin Niemann shows up, Abraham Ancer, Max Homa, Kisner. These were guys we weren't talking about, but they're in the 2 buckets we did kind of go over. But I'm going to move on from there. Again, I'm not spending a lot of time. I just want to show you the golfers. Recent form 2, that's that 20 to 40 range. So over the last 7 weeks, their average finishing positions between 20 and 40th place. And look at that. Patrick Cantlay is in there. Xander Schauffele. These guys are showing up a lot. That's pretty good. Now, what does that mean when it comes to these anchor buckets? So if I'm telling you want somewhere between 2 to 4 of these guys, well, let's say you picked Louis Oosthuizen and you picked Xander Schauffele. Obviously, they're in this bucket, but they're also in the course history 4s that we just talked about, and they're in one of these 2 buckets. So they themselves can cover those buckets, and then you can just build whatever you want from there. You don't have to follow that bucket logic anymore. But again, we're going to let the optimizer do it for us. We don't have to think about it. That's what's so good about the optimizer. That's what's so great about optimizers for this match play. You don't also have to think about the match play format and how you want to build lineups. That's why I think my optimizer is so much better, because it also includes the bucket logic to go with the match play logic. So yeah, I'm biased obviously, but I do like it. So that's your recent form 2 bucket. There's actually a lot of golfers in that one. 24 to be exact. So a little higher, which is fine. Going to the next one, recent form 3s. This one's a little bit smaller. Colin Morikawa's up there. We did talk about Dustin Johnson, or at least we went over, like we skimmed past him. Taylor Gooch, like I said, he's in here. We already talked about Bezuidenhout, Siwoo Kim. Nobody else really. So those would be good choices. Moving on to the next one, 10K golfers. So I told you want a 10K golfer. That one's pretty simple. Everyone has access to these 10K golfers. There are 7 of them. And how the buckets rate out, you want somewhere between 1 to 3 of them. Like 1 to 3 of them could finish inside the top 10, the top 9, really. But it's not a really high percentage. Like I always look at these decimal places as like a percentage. So there's like a 6% chance we get 3 10Ks inside the top 10. So I'm banking on 1 to 2 is basically what I'm doing. So you could build lineups this week if you wanted to with 2 10K golfers, and I think you'll be just fine. And then 7K golfers, we have 20 of them. So you want somewhere between 1 to 3 of those. We talked about this in the past optimal lineups. A bunch of 7K golfers did show up. So definitely think about that. I'm not going to actually show the golfers. You guys can see that on DraftKings. 2 to 4 strokes gained 2 guys. So if we go to our strokes gained 2 golfers, just to show you who those guys are, Rahm shows up in here. Victor Hovland, Dustin Johnson, Bryson DeChambeau. There's a lot of guys in here. A lot of 7K guys, a few 6K golfers. But yeah, 2 to 4 of these guys. I think that's pretty good. And then the last anchor bucket is 1 to 3 strokes gained 3 golfers. And we can go over that. You have Justin Thomas, Colin Morikawa, Brooks Koepka, Paul Casey. We talked about these guys already. We talked about Siwoo Kim. That's about it. We really didn't talk about the other guys. Could have talked about Max Homa, but we didn't. Could have talked about Will Zalatoris, but we didn't. Anyways, those are your anchor buckets. So if you wanted, or a smart thing to do would be to pause the video as I went through that, kind of write down your names, or go to the cheat sheet. I forgot to even mention this. You could have used this alongside, view this while watching the video, so you guys have a better understanding how to use the cheat sheet and, going through the different buckets and stuff like that. So yeah, you guys had the opportunity to do that. Maybe you just rewind and watch it again with that up and available. But anyways, now it comes down to building lineups. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the optimizer up. I already have the bucket logic in here. I don't have the minimums. A lot of that has to do with kind of how rigid and strict lineup building is. Because again, what you want to do is kind of like search for your favorite golfers. So like say Jon Rahm. He's one of my favorite ones. And then try to find someone here to meet him, because I'm anticipating him going to the quarterfinals. So I would want like maybe a Taylor Gooch to go here, and then Rahm go on from there. So that's kind of how you got to think about it. What I would suggest to do is go throughout each quadrant and try to figure out who your favorite play is from those. And maybe it's a high price guy, or maybe it's an upset. Kind of look at the path to get to the quarterfinals. Is it easy or is it difficult? Personally, I think the Rahm path is really difficult because let's say Rahm gets out of here. I mean, Cameron Young might be a good play. I know a lot of people are on him. He's a very talented guy who could easily get out of this bracket by himself. And that's the thing about match play. Like Rahm could just play really good golf, but his opponents, each one of them might just play a little bit better and bounce him out. But then when they play each other, they just look like scrubs. And that's how like someone like a Cam Young or a Patrick Reed or a Sebastian Munoz can move on. Is as long as they beat their one individual opponent. Remember that. They're only playing against each other once to get those points. And then they have to rely on either somebody else in the pod to, like say if Jon Rahm lost to Patrick Reed, he would have to hope Patrick Reed loses to Cam Young and Sebastian Munoz, while Jon Rahm also beats those two guys when they face off to each other, just so he can take back that loss in a way from Patrick Reed. But anyways, you're looking for upsets. You're looking for your favorite plays going through. And also, I would actually consider ownership. I think this is a really good time to actually think about what everyone else is doing. So like, for instance, Jon Rahm, I bet you if it's not Jon Rahm, it's Cameron Young that most people are selecting just from this very first pod. So you could be very contrarian and go with like a Sebastian Munoz, and maybe everyone's on Brooks Koepka. That's fine. Getting Sebastian Munoz to here already gives you a leg up when trying to figure out, or when competing against other people. And if you watch the preview video, I told you could actually have 3 golfers in your lineup from the same quadrant and still win. You could still win a GPP, that is. We win over it. So again, highly suggest you go watch that preview video. But either way, so let's say you had Sebastian Munoz here, who did beat Jon Rahm. Just having that extra round that he plays against Brooks Koepka is going to be huge. But what if Sebastian Munoz then also goes on to win? Your leverage just for having Sebastian Munoz getting here over both Brooks as well as Jon Rahm is going to be super high. And it's possible. It is very possible that a Sebastian Munoz could actually get to the quarterfinals. It just takes, 4 lucky rounds of golf, basically. And it kind of you also have to rely on other players to help you, from your pod. So in all reality, try to find your upsets, like your most notable upsets. My favorite is Lucas Herbert. Lucas Herbert is a very, he's a very, what the heck? What's the word I'm looking for? Aggressive player. He is going for birdie. He's basically going for birdie or broke on every single hole, which is what I want in match play, because it doesn't matter what the high score is. It's all about you just beating your opponent. You can beat your opponent with birdies. You can beat your opponent with pars. It doesn't matter what they score. You just want them to, win. And I would definitely I want my mix of aggressive players as well as grinded out golfers. It really just depends on the round of golf. Like if Lucas Herbert is super aggressive against a Xander Schauffele and he makes everything that he needs to against Xander, he's going to take down Xander. But then at that same level, if he does that against a Tony Finau and he doesn't make anything, and Finau isn't playing his greatest golf either, Finau can still beat Lucas Herbert, because while Finau's getting pars, Herbert might be getting bogeys or doubles because of how aggressive he is. I mean, it can work in that opposite direction. But I would much rather go with like a Lucas Herbert here, because I think a lot of people are going to be on Xander. I think a lot of people think Xander's going to do really well. It feels like a huge letdown spot for Xander. And I really do like Lucas Herbert's play, like at this golf course. So I would rather do something like that. I think Rahm, for me, gets himself all the way to the quarterfinals, or at least the semifinals, I should say. So I do like Rahm getting here. And then you have so many good golfers in this same quadrant. That's what makes this one difficult to select from. And maybe it's the best time to actually try to find an upset. That's why, I like a Taylor Gooch. I think a lot of people will be on Gooch because they're not ready to play someone like Bryson. But maybe that's where we do go to Bryson. And we say Bryson meets up with Jon Rahm in the quarterfinals. And he's a part of the optimal lineup. It's possible that could happen. And let's say Dustin Johnson ends up winning this one. A lot of this won't even matter, right? What you're trying to do is create a path. Because when you do this, it's going to help you build your lineups. But, for me, what I want to do is I kind of want to do this hand built. That's kind of why I'm talking about it. I do want to hand build this a little bit, try to figure out where some of these upset plays could be. Because then when I go to the optimizer, I can say, okay, well, give me Lucas Herbert. Where was he? I already forgot what his price was. Lucas Herbert is $6,100. That makes lineup building super easy. Then come down here, Lucas Herbert, come up here, go to Jon Rahm, have all my bucket conditionals in here, hit run optimize, and it's going to optimize based off the quadrant, the groups, as well as the buckets. And it's going to create me a lineup, and you can see my minimum salary is $44,000, my maximum is $50,000. It used up all $50,000 and actually put Colin Morikawa in there, which is really interesting. Morikawa, Henley, Leishman. Let's say we don't like Leishman. We can go cross them out, say no in the lock box here, and see what the optimizer will then select. It actually removes Colin Morikawa out of there because of the buckets and everything. It slots in Hovland. It also slots in Answer. It actually replaces all 4 of the golfers in the middle. So I think this is going to be a lot of fun building lineups this way. And so, I mean, I don't really have to go through the rest of the brackets and try to figure out what my, my upset plays are or anything like that. Actually, you know what? I will. I'll do that just for this video. So I'll give you my favorite, and then I'll give you my favorite upset. Like, give you who I think is going to win out of that bucket and my favorite upset. John Rahm, I think, is going to win the WGC match play. I think this is a tournament that he does want to win, and I think it's okay that his putter hasn't been cooperating with him. I think he's just going to be solid enough to get all the way to the quarterfinal or to the championship. I don't mind a Cameron Young, and I don't mind a Sebastian Munoz. I think if I'm pivoting based off of ownership, I'm going to go with Sebastian Munoz. Munoz can putt the lights out of a golf ball. He's very streaky, which I think is a good thing here. Remember, you just have to be better than your opponent. So if you're both playing crappy golf, you just got to play a little bit better crappy golf than your opponent. So again, anyone can win, and I like Sebastian Munoz's ability to actually do that. Don't sleep on Patrick Reed, though. But yeah, my favorite's Reed, or I'm sorry, no. My favorite's Rahm, and then my favorite upset's going to be Sebastian Munoz in that first one. Koepka in this one, and my favorite upset would be Eric Van Rooyen. My favorite actually is Taylor Gooch in this one, and I think my upset is going to be, I don't have an upset. My favorite and my upset's Gooch. I'm not even going to try with this one. My favorite in this one is Johnson. My favorite upset's Homa. I think a lot of people are actually going to be on Mackenzie Hughes. I do like Mackenzie Hughes. Don't get me wrong. I'm staying away from Matthew Wolff. I don't even care if it's leverage. I'm willing to die on a hill and say never Matthew Wolff. That is fine by me. I'm just going to move over here to this quadrant 2 up here. My favorite out of this group up here is actually Robert McIntyre, and he's probably my favorite upset as well. I think a lot of people are going to be on Morikawa, and they're also going to like Sergio. I couldn't care less for Jason Kokrak. The next group sucks. This is probably the worst group of the bunch. I don't care for this at all. Bubba's my favorite, and then Webb is probably my favorite upset. And it might have to be the opposite way around. I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. Louis Oosthuizen in the next one is going to be my favorite. And my favorite upset, Paul Casey? I don't know. I do like Noren. I don't like Connors. But that's as far as I'm going. My favorite to get out of this one is going to be Xander, but my favorite upset's Lucas Herbert. We already talked about that one. We'll come down to this quadrant down here. Scotty Scheffler is my favorite play out of here, and my favorite upset's going to be Matt Fitzpatrick. It's not really an upset, but I don't care for Poulter. I mean, he is a savvy veteran, and maybe we should always play the savvy veterans. I think that's probably in my notes somewhere, is always play the savvy veterans. So how about this? Scheffler's my favorite, but Poulter's my favorite upset. That's fine. I can live with that. I like Horschel in this one, and if it isn't Horschel, I think Peters is a great play. I know a lot of people will be on Tom Hoagie, but I think that's where they're just going to be wrong. I think it's one of these guys. Coming down to this bucket down here, my favorite's Daniel Berger. My favorite upset, I think my favorite 2 plays are just these guys, Hatton and Berger. I don't trust Siwoo enough, and I don't care for Christian Bezain out here. Favorite out of this one, Patrick Cantlay. My favorite upset's actually Seamus Power. I like Seamus. I also like Keith Mitchell. I don't like Sung Jae. Coming over to quadrant 3, JT is my favorite to get out of this one, but I'm never going to put it past the wily veteran and Kevin Kisner. The next one, Jordan Spieth, will be my favorite to come out of there, and Justin Rose is my favorite upset. This bucket here, I think my favorite is actually probably Russell Henley, with my upset being Maverick McNeely. So Maverick McNeely and Lucas Herbert are all from the same semifinal, the same hemisphere, whatever you want to call this side of it. Both really cheap, and they're also going to make lineups work for you. And I don't think it's going to go, because I really don't think anyone from here is getting to the quarterfinals. Because I think like Victor Hovland or Will Zalatoris are a really good choice. Like Will Zalatoris, to me, reminds me of Lucas Herbert, just obviously better. Super aggressive. I think Zalatoris maybe not the greatest putter, and that's what makes me not pick him as my favorite play, and where I like Victor Hovland more. I do like Cameron Tringali, and I'm not going to sleep on Sepp Straka. I'll play some of him, but I think whoever's in this group will get to the quarterfinals, and I think it's a coin flip from here. So those are my favorite plays, my favorite upsets. I'm going to let the optimizer do all the work. I'm going to lock in, like 2 plays of mine that I like a lot. Maybe that's what I'll do. I'll lock in a favorite and I'll lock in an upset. And then I'll let the optimizer build lineups from there. And I think maybe that's probably the best way to do it. Because the optimizer is just going to build the correct lineup every single time. So I think that's what I like the most. That's what I'm going to do. That's going to be my strategy. If you want this optimizer again, be subscribed to the channel. Comment down below. You have to comment. If you don't, I'm going to tell you, go comment first, and then I'll send it to you. And you're going to have to email me as well. SweetSpotDFS@gmail.com. Now, there's a lot of other giveaways, right? You got the money giveaways, $30 if we can get up to 30 new subscribers. And if you want an entry here, same thing you got to do with the optimizer. Comment down below and be subscribed. Prize Picks giveaway, $20. There's a link in the description. That'll get you to the sign up page. If you sign up using the promo code SweetSpot and you put $20 in your account, I'm going to give you $20. Easy as that. And of course, the cheat sheet is in the description as well. There's a link there. Once you go there, hit the file menu, go to make a copy. That way it's yours and you can modify it however you want. But that's it. That's all I have for you guys. This should be an interesting week, building lineups, and just riding it out, waiting to see what happens throughout the match play. So with that being said, good luck to all you guys. Thank you for watching. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, bye.